Alison mentioned or happened to mention somebody that is in the Awakened Wisdom Leadership course and has signed up. And her name is Justine. And she had mentioned or referenced the idea that there are different people along the journey of awakening. You know, some may seem like they're further along or have done maybe more work on that, or they're a little bit more acutely aware of it. And what
So can I just interrupt? So you mean I mentioned that?
Yes, that Alison mentioned that.
Yes.
Yeah, that Alison mentioned that. And the truth of it is that regardless of whether you're appearing to be further down the track in your journey of awakening, that there are actually more deeper aspects going on within that we can't see at the time. You know, that are, it's showing that on the outside, you know, as women, but also with men too, we put on certain masks and certain facades that we give off. That, for example, you know, have us believing that we are stronger, or that we have it all together, or that we know where our path is, or we know who we are because of X, Y, Z that we have done in the past. So therefore, we must be this leader, or we must be this wife, or we must be this person. And, you know, we have ourselves in we believe that we think that we know who we are. And the journey of awakening is really your soul awakens because your soul in many ways is offended or has taken offense to the idea that you keep living by those facades, you keep living by those norms, you keep living by those societal imprints or expectations or conditioning that your soul is not in agreement with. And so there is that contrast where your soul awakens, because your soul is saying, no, hold on a minute, that doesn't resonate. That actually doesn't sit well with me. That doesn't work for me. And it could even be interactions that you have with people in your space that you're having there in your life, but your awakened wise leader or soul part of you is going, is that soul guided? Like, does that make you feel good when you're in that person's space? Or are you anxious? Does that person make you feel anxious or uneasy when you're in their space? So it's much finer refinements on your life that previously, you know, we thought were okay, but now we're realizing that the soul is guiding you to these much more greater realizations that, of course, in the past, from the mind and the heart, maybe priorly were acceptable, but to the soul, they're no longer acceptable, because it's like you are choosing to awaken to the higher parts of yourself. And so to be higher means to be happier, to be more realized, to feel greatness, to you know, want to be fulfilled, to feel satisfied. And so when those masks or facades about the way that you think you are, or the things you've been tolerating that don't make you satisfied, because the soul wants to make you satisfied, they will come to the surface, and they all come rising up. And for some people, this is why you need to be in a tribe, in a community, is for some, once you open that Pandora's box, for some, it's like opening the floodgates. It's like boom, 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 boom. And then people are like, whoa, what happened? Like, that's happening in my relationship. That's happening over here in my business. Like, now it's like showing up everywhere, right? And so then the thing is, like, it's because now a part of you is now awakened, and you're starting to like see different things about your life that you didn't see before.
Yeah, I think it's, and Eckhart Tolle talks about the ego, and so many of those things we think we're doing really well. And, you know, we wear the masks and we present ourselves to the world, and you know, I'm a success. But it's your ego talking. It's not your soul. And so when the soul awakens, you all of a sudden, it shines light on your blind spots. And particularly
Yes.
working with people who are on the same kind of journey, and working with someone as intuitive as you and as insightful as you, Pascale, you see things that people don't see for themselves. And of course, there's also the people who present very well externally, but don't feel it internally. You know, some of us believe our masks, they're convinced by our masks, and this is who I am. And then those who, well, this is what I present to the world, but underneath, I'm a mess. I'm broken.
Yes, yes. This is very important what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, because, well, and that's also touching on two other important things, which also come up in the work that we're doing, is that is all about outward projection and not about inner realization. Very different. Outward projection and inner realization, two separate journeys entirely, right? So the journey to awakening is inner realization, soul realization, and almost you're retrieving parts of your soul that previously you cut off. So there's
for
massive
whatever
soul
reason. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Reason. Correct. For whatever reason, across all time, dimension, and reality, because, you know, a lot of us have incarnated here many times over, right? So also those things happen because some of it is to tap in again to what our soul gifts are. And also as part of like retrieving our soul, we become whole. And then now we become activated inside of what it is we're here to do and be. And, you know, hence also souls are here for missions, right? They're here for their vocation. That even the speaking is different. You know, your work becoming a passion and an invocation becomes a mission, and you're mission driven, you know, to have a vocation. In this new earth and new awakening, you're not going to hear people talking about things like, oh, I have a job. A job has,
and I hate my job, and thank God it's Friday.
Yes, correct.
That's just soul destroying.
Right, correct, exactly. Yeah. So the soul parts of us, you know, we're so ready to drop that old bomb into the fire, because the idea of the soul, it's insulting to the soul to talk about it like that. So again, it's like all these repatterning and reformatting that is happening in this new space, that our soul is feeling enlightened. And also why? Because we lighten up. We become much happier when those things
playful and joyful.
Yes, correct. Because those things weigh us down, right? All those situations, all those masks, all those facades, all those ways that we think we should be. And then you said that part of that outer projection, and what is also happening, which I also talk about, and it gets referenced in my book, is, you know, not more of this spiritual bypassing. I'm so done with this. Okay. People doing spiritual work, but they're bypassing the shadow work that's also needed to be embodied inside of being fully awakened and in your light. And so what happens is you outwardly project all the time. You're outwardly projecting all the time. But what it's pointing at is you're not doing the inner realization work to step into the void, to step into that unknown, because it, to human being, it's on the surface seems very scary to do that work. And it takes courage. It does. I'm not going to say it doesn't. It does. Right. But without living an inner realized life that your soul is guiding you, it's teaching you to come to wholeness with your shadows and not pretend they don't exist. And that's what I mean. You go from being what's a spiritual bypasser to being somebody who's actually a spiritual light worker, because you're actually doing the work of the light, right? And that means merging those things together and not being scared of that. Because inside of that, you know, that's why we say we're broken by the light. Why? Because that's where the light gets in.
Yeah, that beautiful saying. It's in a Leonard Cohen song, I think. The cracks are where the light comes through.
Yeah. And what are we pretending? We all got cracks.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. Instead of pretending that, oh, no, I haven't got cracks, No, I'm all together. It's all together. My life's all together. It's all great. And it all looks great on the surface. What? Like, that's trying to pretend that exactly. I've got no cracks. I've got nothing to, and that's not true. That's not real. That's not authentic. We all have cracks.
Yeah.
And that's what makes us beautiful.
Yeah. And that's, the catalyst for the growth. If it was all, sunshine and lollipops, we wouldn't grow.
And it's what makes us beautiful. I saw this great big, beautiful picture of it, and I'd love to see it in real. But in Japan, they have this process where they make these amazing pottery and bowls and all of this amazing craft. And it's made by cracks.
Oh, yes.
And the light comes into it.
Yeah.
And the whole formation of the bowls and and all of the spoons and everything, it's the basis of it is from the cracks and then the light that comes through, and it's honored and it's sacred and it's beautiful, you know, and it's our essence, and that's the whole point, We have all of these different flaws. We do have mess. We do have these parts of us, and it's what makes us uniquely us. And that's what I mean by about being proud of it and dispelling those old paradigms from the past where it's shameful. You see, that's why the outer projection oh, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to look at that. I don't want to, exactly. And that's what I mean. It's like, it's scary to them because why? Because when you have to step in and do the work, you have to deal with those layers. Maybe one of those layers is shame. That's what I'm saying. We've been shamed to think there's something wrong with those broken parts. We've been told it's not, to be embraced and proud. That's why I'm doing the opposite. Yeah, I mean, as in that's what my truth is. I'm not pretending it, but we've been embedded in that shame for so long.
And that enormous fear of being vulnerable.
Yes. And also a new paradigm to say, you know what, I can be proud. I can be really proud of my broken bits. Or I went through this part and what it taught me and how I've grown from it and what I've learned and who I've become.
And you wouldn't be the same person without it.
No, and it's beautiful to imagine and to behold, and just like looking at a beautiful flower. There's some flowers also too that are wild and brazen and uniquely themselves, right? I've been looking at and it's interesting again what's been coming into my space in this awakening. These beautiful pots from Japan that get created like this. Flowers I've never seen, and I sense that they're like really tropical and unique and different. I've never seen this species of plants or flowers before, but they've been coming into my space. But my point is, and even the lotus flower is symbolic of this, how does she truly grow? She grows within the mud.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And it's really real, right? Yeah. She's beautiful, but she rises inside of the mud. And it's not an attachment to how much mud we get. Yeah, there might be more mud in our life. There might be less mud. It doesn't really matter, right? The point I'm making, though, is to be free. It's to be free with all of you.
Yeah.
Unapologetic and not pretending those things aren't there and shaming it off and cutting it off and all of this stuff. Enough with it.
I recently read, I can't remember the exact title, Brené Brown's book, The Gift of Imperfection.
Yeah.
Or Embrace Your Imperfections or something like that. Yeah. Very powerful. Very, very, very helpful to just, and had a huge impact on my, just shedding those last remnants for me of my self-doubt. And I don't have to be perfect. That's really powerful. We all have imperfections. So I can be me. I can be just me doing life, and I'm enough. I don't have to be perfect.
Yeah, and I think that
that's a first
Go
step
on.
towards looking at, okay, then what are my imperfections and where did they come from? What's the root of them? And let's work with them. But when you have the belief that you have to have that facade, you have to be perfect, it's much more dangerous to look at those, the shadow side, as you say.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another
you all fall
facade.
apart.
Exactly. That's another facade that we've been given as well, is to be perfect. And look here, I can resonate with that. I've had a lot of my life informed by that facade. You know, I'm half British, I'm half Swiss, but I was born and grew up in Hong Kong. And by Asian merit, or even by Swiss culture, you know, they're driven by the idea of being perfect. I mean, it's a society that stands and holds on perfection, right? And so for me, it's extremely freeing to go beyond that and really to go beyond that old paradigm, that old broken system of, again, a facade of belief that we have to be perfect. Well, who said so? Because that's not my truth. And I know that I'm not perfect. I'm not. So, and I don't want to be teaching people to be that either, because they're not perfect either. So that's why, you know, a lot of the times we'll talk about it. We'll say, you know, we even create it is like, let's stand in being imperfectly us, because that's who
uniquely
we are.
us. Yeah.
And,
and ideally in full alignment with who we are, and everything, our behavior, what we present to the world and what we feel internally, all in alignment. And one of the things I love to do with my work as a hypnotherapist is help people clean up their past so that it's safe to take that trip down memory lane. So those things that they don't want to look at, those, you know, the shadows, the traumatic stories, to work with them to process them and clear them energetically and emotionally, and to take the learning from them. Because a beautiful quote I heard was that a memory without emotion is just wisdom. So if you can discharge the emotion from all those old traumatic memories, then you have the wisdom.
Yes.
And so, yeah, as I said, I want it to be safe for people to go anywhere in their own head, that have that trip down memory lane and feel very safe with it, and you know, gather up the gold.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And that touches on something that's also I'm writing in my book, which is also alchemy. And that's also what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Is also when you take your, you know, like you're talking about trauma, when you take your pain, your suffering, and even with what I personally walked with my own experience with what happened with the loss of my husband.
Yeah, huge. And that's a topic for another video, I think.
Yes, I agree in talking about that. But I will say that the part that it unearthed was just the idea that we can, not from concept, but again, from living embodiment of really being able to transform your pain, your trauma, your suffering into higher wisdom, into higher power, into higher love, or even greater love. But also being shown how to, because this is a new space. This is a new space how. Right? But it's really possible. And the awakened wise leader guides us with that, you see. So that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what you just touched upon, is that without stepping into that work, doing the work, being and sitting with the pain, then how are you going to be able to see the higher purpose inside of this without stepping into that in the first place? You know, so our pain is our power. Our broken parts, or the parts where the light comes in, where there are shadows, is our power, is our light. But it's about merging the two together in our light, in awakening, and then by that principle, then there's greater light and greater spaciousness, because you're not, you know, you're not pretending those things aren't there. You're not resisting anything else.
Yeah, you're accepting, acknowledging, and integrating all parts of yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And then you can work on run your vehicle on 12 cylinders instead of 2, which we normally do.
Right. Yeah, correct. That's right. That's right. And my hope with it too is that it really also transforms people's fear as a vehicle, because you're no longer resisting or, staying in the dark about the parts that you're so scared to reveal.
Yes. I think it is important, though, to kind of understand that you need support most people would need support to do it, to do that work, and to find the right tribe, the right support, whether it's a practitioner, a therapist, a friend, to support them through that.
Yeah, and I would
it's
say
not always easy to do by yourself.
Yeah, correct. I think, and that's what we're speaking into that space, is to have a structure, have a structure of support as well, like to have an accountability of support, to have a team of support. So it might look like a variety of people in your space, because sometimes those other people cannot support that, not with any misgiving on their side. They might not be the right people. So a structure of support is what's wanted and needed and guided, and also inside of your own commitment to you being fully held and supported, right? So that you can grow and expand into that space and not stay stuck or feeling separate or feeling alone inside of that.
And not stop halfway.
Yes,
knowing
correct.
that, making the commitment that, yes, I want to fully clear everything that's blocking me from being aligned with my mind, heart and soul.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It's also very, as you said that, it's very easy to get stuck or easy to stumble or to feel like, oh, I've made it this far, and that sense of maybe I'm going to give up, like this might really, it might seem like it's felt really too hard on your own. It might have felt like too much of a challenge or a boulder to get over on your own. So hence why we are encouraging the idea that we don't want you to go it alone, and you don't have to go it alone anymore. And that there is a space where you can gain that support from like-minded souls in your tribe here, but also from the leaders and the guides and the teachers teaching you, which would be ourselves, as well as the people that you will gain insight and ahas from within the group. And the whole thing is part of the space of support, right? We don't know, it's the full range of possibility of support that's going to really evolve your journey on and evolve your evolution on. And it's about being open to receiving that, when potentially depends on also how you've navigated that support up until now. But I think the idea is that there's a full range of possibility here around the support that is there for you, and we're making that available here. That makes me very happy to think of it.
Exciting. And really, Awakening Light School is an umbrella for a number of different things, including, and I'm sure you'll put some courses on there that are just yours, and some that are just mine. But our signature program is the Awakening Wisdom Leadership course, which does go for 12 months. And, people can have a look at that. We can put a link on this video to that. It would be a brilliant way to support people and to really, for people to make that commitment.
Yeah, and I think me and Alison were just touching on the reason why that's so critical is that, if you look at the different measures and levels of learning, the ultimate learning is in what we call embodiment, which is truly living it. It's not something that you're conceptually thinking about or applying, but it's something that you really live. And so because of that, we created it inside of that knowledge and wisdom and embodiment, and embodied it in creating it to be 12 months for that reason. And it is so that you have that committed inquiry and that committed space to practice and evolve, and take yourself to those awaken and a wise leader levels along the journey, and so that you can reach out and get support when you are stuck. and that you know then what to do at those moments, and you can shift them. And so you can really get on the court and not be stuck. This is the whole point. And get in committed action again, and then play in another area of your life.
And have a loving, supportive community that have got your back and will hold you accountable.
Correct. That's right. Exactly. That's right. In all its forms.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Yeah. Lovely chatting with you,
As
Pascale.
usual.
So for you it's morning, for me it's evening. So
yes.
How are things in the UK?
Well, they're on this whole focus about like potentially opening up, but maybe not, because we've got the Indian
teasing
variant.
Teasing
yes,
you.
There's a teasing going on. That's right, in the space. But again, I'm not taking too much attention onto it, because again, it'll be what it'll be.
Yeah.
And I'm it's just interesting to kind of see the dance that, the interplay that goes on outside our worlds or inside of our countries. But I'm not basing too much on it, because the idea is that, I'm creating my own world to exist inside of, and my own bubble of expansion and
conscious awakening.
It's conscious awareness, exactly, an awakening that just has me observing the outside, but not being, not being stuck there, or not feeling attached to what they're doing or not doing. So just interesting to watch. But
I saw a lovely meme I shared on Facebook that said a boat doesn't sink because it's in water, it sinks because it takes in water.
Oh, that's a good one.
So very powerful. So we don't have to sink because there's all this stuff going on around us. We can float through it. For those who don't know, I'm in Melbourne, so we've just had a week of lockdown again, our fourth lockdown. So we'll go with the flow.
That's right, exactly. I think what is great, though, it shows, is that when you're anchored in yourself and you're creating from yourself, and that goes with whether it's COVID or not COVID, that, the idea, and again, this is what I'm saying, I think that learning or that embodiment has come from the Awakened Wise Leader and inner realization work, because inner realization work has you realize it's your world after all. And so if it's your world after all, how do you want this to show up that's not kind of impacted by what they're doing over here? Because I don't have control of them, and neither do I wish to anyway. So it becomes an observation of what's going on over there, but not something to kind of...
Rather than that reactivity and that being triggered. Yeah.
Correct. That's right.
And that's why this support is so needed at the moment, because so many people are struggling with being triggered and reactive.
Absolutely.
And, really suffering from it. And
even you're right.
the shifting sands, where life is so unstable, so unpredictable at the moment. So
I agree.
It's really important to have that inner stability and to feel grounded and connected spiritually.
I think you're right now, that is the foremost, foremost importance, to find your own inner ground, as you say, your inner sanctuary, your inner sanctum. I call it my inner sanctum. And who's existing there with you? Who's creating with you, right? Virtually or not, right? But inside of it, what is your inner sanctum really comprised of? Regardless of what is going on in and outside and around you, and that you keep it at its heavenly best and growing and expanding inside of that, and wanting other people to find that inner sanctum and creating from that, not from wherever it is that's been occurring, like you said, that is extremely harrowing or scary or freaky, or makes them feel like, that's what I'm saying, the ground has been moved and pulled underneath them, right? And that the tower has fell. And so inside of that, wherever you are with that, your Awakened Wise Leader will magically put that together in your highest and best good again, but you'll be reassembled. This is the message I want to This is a time of reassembling and a time of reconnecting and re-coming together with your soul in all the parts that you've gone through and navigated. And I think just even knowing that gives a lot of trust and gives a lot of hope and a lot of faith that regardless of whatever journey it is that you are in your boat, because I keep saying we're all in the same ocean, but we're all in different boats.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so inside of that, I want to extend those inner sanctums and that awakening wise leader out to all the boats. I can see them on the boats as we're discussing it. And
we're
build
creating
from
a
that.
fleet.
Yes.
Awesome. Love it.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, again, lovely talking to you. And yeah, talk to you next week.
Yeah, talk to you next week.
Fantastic. We'll see what comes through.
We'll see what
we're guided to talk about.
Yeah, we'll see what floats next week.
Okay. Thanks so much, Pascale.
Thanks, Alison.
Bye.
Bye.